Okay, this is Orlando Wilson. What I want to talk about in this video is an issue that happens a lot in the security world, especially the close protection world, where guards try to poach clients and clients try to poach guards. I've had a few issues with this over the years, and I've got plenty of stories about this. And this is something which can cause big problems. This is where, again, from a management perspective, especially in the close protection business, you need to be on top of your people. You need to know what's going on with your people and also the clients. You need to have a good relationship with the client. And this is where it also comes down to when you're selecting your clients and selecting your guards, you've got to ensure you're picking the right people. Now, I've come across this a lot. There's two sectors of this, in corporate security, the larger contracts, etc. I know of one contract I was working on in London many years ago, and it was for one of the Middle Eastern embassies. And the guards there were talking too much shit and trying to take over the contract, trying to take the contract from the client, etc. And it caused a big mess. What these guards didn't realize were the fact they're talking to the local guards at the embassy. They're not the decision makers. It's the same as with a lot of corporate clients. The fact the guards are working on a site, etc., etc., it's not the people they're going to be coming into contact with that are going to be making the decisions for the contracts. And again, when everything got cleared up at this embassy in London, the boss of the company came out and said, look, the decisions of me getting this contract, my company getting this contract, weren't made by these guards. They're lower end. The decisions were made in government offices in the Middle East. But a lot of guards are that stupid just because they get friendly with a member of staff, an embassy guard, etc. They think they can make some money. The issue happens, I had it in London on a couple of jobs, mainly where I was supplying doormen, bouncers, etc., where the clients tried to poach them. And again, the people I have working for me generally are a little bit wise. And the guys realize that, you know what, if the client's going to screw Orlando over for pennies an hour, then in time, if they find a cheaper option, they'll also screw us over, which they would, because it's all about saving pennies, etc., etc. What a lot of clients don't realize, and I'll give you a couple of stories in a second, is if they bypass the security company, they're just working with somebody, with a guard, who might be okay when they're turning up to work their shifts, but what's going to happen when they want time off? Are they going to have replacements? Are they going to have people there, etc.? Is the company insured? Are these guys properly insured? Guys and girls properly insured, properly licensed, etc.? And the chances are most of the time they're not. And what happens when the client tends to go in with the guard, the jobs don't usually last that long because it's a big mess and everything tends to fall apart. Story time. I know of one job, one of my associates in US used to have a very decent construction contract for a high-end hotel on Miami Beach when it was being built. The contract's coming to an end. He had the job a couple of years. He's employing 6 or 7 guards a day, 24/7. It's making good money. One of the site managers there said to one of the guards who they got friendly with, why don't you put in for the contract? If you get rid of this guy who had the company, we'll give you the contract if you can manage it, etc. And of course the guard was like, yeah, sure. So the guard went onto the site at a specific late at night, managed to get onto the site. He was one of the site supervisors. And as this place was just about to be, they just put the carpets in, etc., etc., went into the top floor of the hotel, this big building, and turned on all the taps and blocked the sinks. So it was a major flooding incident. That night, none of the guards spotted it, etc., etc. I think those all stood down, they're all chilling. So that caused a big problem, which ended up getting my associate fired from the contract. And yes, the guard did take over the contract. But all my associate had to do was call up Florida Division of Licensing and say, okay, you got somebody working there, they just sabotaged my job. They don't have a company license, they don't have the insurance, they don't have anything, etc. And that job lasted a week before division and licensing turned up and just the guy got arrested, and everybody else, all the guards that were working unlicensed, well, in the state of Florida, if you're not working under an agency, you're working unlicensed. So I think all the guards were told to go home, and the client was told, the construction client was told, go find a new provider, service provider. So that's one example of a job being messed up. Another example, years ago, I had a B agency, security agency in Florida, one of the agencies I had, and I was letting the agency go because I was leaving the country. I had a nice contract there. I was going to pass the contract on to somebody I knew. It was an upper end contract, good clients, etc. And what happened? My license was going to expire on a certain date. So that meant no license, no insurance. So I couldn't work the job anywhere. I told the client, I'm finishing here on a certain date. I've got somebody lined up for you, another company, good, conscientious company, etc. Somebody I was working with that was doing a little bit of work with me found out what was going on, and they approached the client and said to them, oh, we'll do the job, etc., etc., etc. So they bypassed me and took over the client. And when my contract ended with them, they took the client. Not my business. I was in Africa at the time. I didn't care. But the reason I wanted to keep the job, even though the job was a pain in the ass, I said to the guards months before, do you want me to keep it because you're earning money from it? They would say, yes, they will do it. They'll manage it. I had somebody keep an eye on it. So I'm just collecting checks. At that time, I had enough of the client, but that's another story. Anyway, the person that bypassed me, I'm in Africa, West Africa at the time, and I got a call from one of my guys. He'd just been fired. Not my problem. The weekend guy had been fired because of some reason. This company wanted to put somebody else in there, etc. The first weekend, the new replacement was there. They lost $10,000 in goods because somebody walked in, picked up something, walked out with it. And because this company was a regular security guard company, they didn't care, right? Next week, I got a call from the regular guy I had there, solid guy, excellent guy. And this company was messing around with his hours. We had flexi hours at finishing because sometimes they closed late, closed early, etc. So he was staying late and he wasn't getting his money. I said, nothing I can do about it. So this guy done the wise thing, and he said, okay, he resigned. He'd been with me like 3 or 4 years. He resigned from the site because he's messing with his money. He's got better things to do. So now the regular guy had resigned because his company had messed with his money, and this company had nobody to replace him. I think they didn't even have a security guard to replace him because this place was in South Beach. The clients wanted a specific type of person, specific type of profile. They never had it. And the time the regular guy resigned, they never had anybody to fill the spot. So that guy that went around me, even though I didn't care because we lost the contract, we were giving the contract up, in a matter of, I would say, 10 days, lost 2 people their jobs, and also lost the company that he put in there, the contract, because they couldn't fill the spaces. The original client, they thought they were getting a cheaper deal, a better deal, but you see everything was a big mess. So this is what usually happens when clients go to guards directly or guards go to clients directly. And in the close protection world, it's something you need to be aware of because it does happen. If I had something these days where I realized, you know what, I don't need to be here, I'd most probably go in and cut a deal with the client and say, look, you want to take this guy full time under your wing, no problems. But it's going to cost you how much money? Your defenses for that, your defenses for guards taking clients and clients taking guards, you can have a good non-compete agreement, but they're difficult to enforce in a lot of places. I would say the best defense against that type of thing is have a good relationship with your guards and have a good relationship with your clients. I've had it where a few times guards have come to me and said, they've been approached by clients that ask them to work directly. You know what? If it's a good client and a good guard, you know what I mean? If a client asked me to start off with, I'd be a lot more sympathetic. But if they go to approach the guard, then we can have issues. But again, this is something, it's in all businesses, all service businesses. And it's something you need to be especially wary for in the close protection business. So just a few words of wisdom and a few stories on poaching. So in the meantime, follow me along on social media. I'm going to array these videos up on our social media. And I have an array of books up on Amazon that talk about various aspects of the close protection business, kidnap and ransom investigations, etc., etc. So follow me along on social media. There's a lot more, as I said, there's a lot more of these videos up. There's a lot of articles up on my blog. In the meantime, be good, stay safe, stay out of trouble. And again, always be looking for red flags with your clients and guards, and expect this type of thing to happen, and have procedures and protocols in place and how to deal with it. But I've got other stories on this for another time. In the meantime, be good, stay safe, and stay out of trouble.